Hi everyone, our topic today is a health professional's approach to dealing with survivors of the death of a child, sudden death versus terminal illness. The survivors in this case are the parents. Sudden death is death occurring rapidly and generally unexpectedly, such as an accident, a pulmonary embolus, stroke, and so on. Terminal illness, on the other hand, is a disease that cannot be adequately treated and that is reasonably expected to result in the death of a patient. Examples include things such as cancer and advanced heart disease. The purpose of this video is to address and discuss how health professionals' approaches differ when dealing with the survivors of a child's sudden death versus a terminal illness. We will then reflect on both issues and explore what else could be done to help the bereaved and what could be done better. Firstly, however, we will discuss the ways in which the death of a child can affect the parents in order to acquire a better understanding of the type of support that will likely be needed or most helpful.
Parents are intimately involved in the daily lives of their children, and death changes every aspect of family life, often leaving an enormous emptiness. Losing a child suddenly or due to terminal illness can often present a similar set of reactions in the grief felt by parents. Although when a child dies due to terminal illness, the parent's role as a carer is often increased during the final stages of the child's life. Therefore, the feelings of helplessness may be intensified. Knowing the specific ways the parent acts in grief and the biggest problems faced can help professionals to know the type of support that is often most needed. Losing the only child may lead the parents to feel they have lost their identity as a parent. Overwhelming sadness and despair, such that facing daily tasks can seem impossible. Parents may feel a sense of extreme guilt that they have failed as child's protector and dwell on what they could have done differently, leading to intense anger and feelings of bitterness. Parents might feel that life has no meaning and wish to be released from the pain urge to join their child. Another aspect of grieving is questioning a loss of faith or spiritual beliefs. In particular, assumptions about the world and how things should be do not fit with the reality of the death. Parents may feel intense loneliness and isolation, that the magnitude of their loss separates them from others and that no one can truly understand how they feel. Cultural expectations and role differences also affect how parents grieve. To illustrate, men are often expected to control their emotions, to be strong, and to take charge of the family. On the other hand, women may be expected to cry openly and to want to talk about their grief. If parents are working, they may become more involved in their job to escape the sadness and daily reminders at home. A stay-at-home parent may be surrounded by constant reminders and may feel a lack of purpose. This is especially true for a parent who spent months or even for years caring for a child who was terminally ill.
The sudden death of a child is by far one of the most troubling moments in a parent or guardian's life. In scanning the literature on this topic, we identified helpful and unhelpful responses to sudden death from health professionals. There are two key areas where families need assistance following the death of a child. Firstly, immediate assistance at the hospital or place of death. The literature suggests that although there is training and guidelines for how to approach survivors, these are not always applicable and not always followed. Research suggests a number of unhelpful behaviors, including discouraging the parents from seeing the child's body or evading questions regarding the nature of the child's death, and not following through with providing emotional support or referring clients on to receive adequate support. Helpful behaviors include offering privacy, emotional support, respect for religious customs, and continuing contact with healthcare professionals. Secondly, referrals to social support and mental health services are often necessary following the death of a child. Although support is often offered, it can be tokenistic and clinicians may not follow through with referrals to such services. There is also some research suggesting cases of untrained health professionals providing grief counselling. This is potentially dangerous, especially due to the vulnerability of survivors at this time. Although the literature reflects what a sample of survivors need, the reality is that we all grieve in different ways, and that's okay. It is suggested that practitioners receive greater training in dealing with survivors and allowing them to better understand the diversity of responses illustrated by families. This may focus on empathetic presence, including listening, silence, and support for survivors. Many grieving persons will need to tell and retell stories associated with the loss. Empathetic listening, accepting and encouraging the expression of feelings, and allowing pain to be expressed freely are critical at this time. It is recommended that practitioners make direct referrals to relevant services.
The way we, as healthcare professionals, care for the child and family throughout the length of the terminal illness, as well as the care and support provided to the family in their time of bereavement, can have great impacts on the family's ability to grieve constructively and adjust to their new life without their child. In Australia, the National Palliative Care Strategy guides the way that professionals are instructed to care for patients and families. The main strategies are to enhance the view that dying is a normal part of life, demonstrate the benefits that accessing palliative care services can provide, and to ensure access to quality palliative care for all Australians. The government is currently funding the Paediatric Palliative Care National Education and Quality Improvement Collaborative Project to build the capacity of healthcare professionals to provide effective support. Parents need to know that their child will be remembered and honoured, and that they have not lost their own identities as parents. We recommend supporting this through guiding conversations around memories of the child and encouraging parents to construct tangible memorials for their child, such as writing a biography of their life. Helping parents to know what to expect during their grief can be beneficial and help them overcome the feelings of guilt and isolation many face during this difficult time. Letting them know to anticipate an emotional roller coaster, but also know that they will not always feel this way. The importance of connecting and communicating with each other and with others, and not shutting themselves out. Not feel guilty for allowing themselves some pleasures, and to know that it's okay, and to even expect setbacks in their progress. Providing parents with access to support groups and giving them access to other parents who have also experienced the death of a child can be critical in the support needed. It has been found that grief can intensify in the third year after the death. Healthcare professionals who provided support during the time of the child's illness and immediately after their death will often not still be in contact with the family this long after the death. Long care support, to share their experiences with others who understand, is indispensable in adjusting to life after the death of a child.
As a health practitioner, it is important that we notice the difference between sudden death and terminal illness in terms of grieving process. Terminal illness brings people a longer period of time to get ready for the anticipated grief. However, there is often no time to prepare families and staff for the events, and any follow-up is likely to involve staff who do not know the family well. The ability to cope is diminished due to the shock of the events and the additional stress that has just been imposed on the individual. Therefore, specific skills and techniques in handling families in and after this situation are particularly important, in order to provide consistent help for parents of deceased children. We believe that there is no formula that can be applied, because the most appropriate response will vary from person to person. Therefore, it is important that any follow-up should be tailored to the situation immediately. When it comes to grief counseling, we must see the bereaved people we serve and counsel as our teachers. We need to allow them to teach us what their experience is, rather than constructing goals and expectations that we expect them to meet and achieve. Since the nature of death and dying has changed so dramatically, the way we grieve has also changed. The new grief differs from traditional grief in significant ways. Not only it includes the terminal ill person, but also draws in the entire family of the dying person for months or even for years. This process has the potential to alter lifestyles and force families to confront issues that were dealt with only after the death of their loved one. It can easily evoke issues from the past that were never fully addressed or resolved. Therefore, it is recommended that health practitioners should ensure that all distressed family members get involved in the counseling process and make them feel able to talk and ask their questions. The best training for health professionals is to equip them with the background theory of grief and with communication skills alongside their clinical knowledge of the child's condition. As a result, experiential learning should be provided for health professionals in order to enrich their experience in how they should cope with the bereaved families.
In this clip, we have discussed how healthcare professionals approach dealing with the bereaved surrounding the death of a child, both sudden and due to a terminal illness. We've also suggested recommendations surrounding better ways to educate healthcare professionals to more effectively deal with the bereaved based on our thoughts and opinions. For personal and professional development, think about how you would like a healthcare professional to approach you having been in such a situation, as well as how you feel you would approach the situation. Another aspect to consider when dealing with bereaved families is other siblings that may be involved. And would you treat them differently than you would a parent?